Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. We are here with the second lecture on the protein synthesis inhibitors which are targeting the 50S ribosomal subunit. The first drug which was taught to you was by Professor Maqsood Ahmed, that is chloramphenicol, a very important drug from examination point of view. Frequently asked questions of that is gray baby syndrome and the adverse effects of chloramphenicol, specifically aplastic anemia, which is often asked in MCQ or in a short question as well, and the mechanism of action of chloramphenicol. So today's lecture's learning objectives would be that all of you would be able to differentiate between the different macrolides on the basis of their pharmacokinetics and their antimicrobial spectrum, their mechanism of action and resistance as well. Okay, and then we'll discuss about the clinical uses and their adverse effects. So macrolides in their structure have, as the name indicates, macrolides, a macrocyclic electron ring to which deoxy sugars are attached. So the main prototype drugs in macrolides are erythromycin, clarithromycin, azithro and telithromycin. Erythromycin is basically belonging to the older generation, and these clarithromycin and azithromycin are the latest or the newer drugs, and that is why I was telling you that you should be able to differentiate between the newer and the older ones. Regarding the pharmacokinetics, it's a very important point. It is destroyed by the gastric acid. Food interferes with its absorption. So, what have the solution to this? We have developed the enteric coated tablets so that they are not destroyed by the gastric acids, right? And another thing is the stearate and esteric ester formulation of these macrolides are acid stable. So this is another MCQ which can be asked, which type of formulations of macrolides are acid stable. So you have to remember stearate and ester formulation. So as you can appreciate, in the end of their names, all of these drugs are having the initials of thromycin, right? Erythro, azithro, and clarithromycin. They have a good absorption, but they do not cross the blood-brain barrier. And clarithro and azithromycin, which are the newer drugs, they are absorbed better orally. Regarding the bacterial targets for macrolides, remember one thing, these are mostly effective against the gram-positive aerobes, especially Streptococcus pneumoniae and Corynebacterium diphtheria. Except for Enterococcus, it is also effective against a variety of gram-negative aerobes, including most prominently H. influenza, gonorrhea, Campylobacter, Salmonella typhi, right? The infections treated by macrolides, in short, if we see, they are effective against respiratory infections like pneumonia, pertussis, and bacterial bronchitis. And specifically, azithromycin is used, and azithromycin is the most uh, famous drug nowadays because for the prophylaxis and treatment of COVID-19, it is recommended dose of azithromycin is 500 milligrams twice a day, which is useful for the treatment against this infection and for pertussis. And this can be asked in your MCQ as well because it's the newer use of azithromycin, right? And we have bacterial bronchitis. Then we have sexually transmitted infections like gonorrhea, in which also azithromycin is effective. And in H. pylori, there is clarithromycin, and also it is effective against the typhoid fever. These macrolides have a limited activity against Enterobacteriaceae except for E. coli and Shigella, and they're more effective against the gram-negative aerobes. As you can well appreciate, as you move from the older to the newer generation of erythro to clarithromycin, there is one advantage is there is increased spectrum of organisms. Macrolides, their mechanism of action, since they are bacteriostatic, they inhibit protein synthesis through the inhibition of 50S ribosomal subunits. So students, you have to memorize those drugs which affect the 50S ribosomal subunits, and some are drugs are affecting or targeting the 30S ribosomal subunit, which is well taught to you by Professor Saeed Anwar in their lecture of Introduction to Chemotherapy. So macrolides are those drugs which are targeting 50S, and chloramphenicol is also targeting the 50S. So to memorize these drugs, there's an easy way. The upper one is the 50s ribosomal subunit, and the lower one, the smaller one, is the 30s ribosomal subunit. So we can memorize it by clean tag. So chloramphenicol, clindamycin, these are the drugs which are targeting the 50s, and apart from this we have EAN. These are the erythromycin and azithromycin. At the end of the names they have this N, so we have made it like clean, erythro and azithro, although they are coming under the category of macrolides, right? So macrolides are those which are inhibiting the 50s ribosomal subunit, and in the 30s, T stands for tetracycline and AG is for aminoglycosides. So you can easily memorize कि 30s पे कौन सी है, tetra and aminoglycoside. The rest of them are in the 50s, in which we have already covered chloramphenicol, and today we'll be covering macrolides. So this is a diagram to show the mechanism of action of macrolides. As you can see, this is the 50s ribosomal subunit, the larger one, and the lower, smaller one is the 30s ribosomal subunit. And this is normally happening that this transfer RNA brings a newer amino acid which gets attached to the already acceptor site, right? And there is elongation of the chain. But what happens that the macrolides bind to the 50s and retards this functioning of the normal transfer RNA, which is bringing a new amino acid. So it hinders the action and does not cause the elongation of this polypeptide chain. So macrolide is also inhibiting the peptide bond formation. So this is another example. Like as you can see, macrolide, they bind to 50s ribosomal subunit. If you consider this as 50 and 30s, and this is your messenger RNA, and this is the macrolide, which binds to the 50s, and then the new transfer RNA, which is bringing amino acid, cannot bind to the acceptor site because there is binding of this macrolide. So this is how it inhibits or hinders the elongation and the growth of multiplication. So it is bacteriostatic drug. Basically, remember one thing, all protein synthesis inhibitors are bacteriostatic except for aminoglycosides. Okay, this is the MCQ as well. But these drugs can act as bactericidal at higher concentration, and all cell wall synthesis inhibitors are bactericidal. So students, let's have a look on the mechanism of action of macrolides. This is the 50s, a larger subunit of ribosome than 30s, the smaller one. So normally what is happening, that is transfer RNA brings along a new amino acid which gets attached to the 50s at the acceptor site, and there happens the elongation of the chain. So it moves along the mRNA, and once it reaches the edge, it gets freed, and there is elongation of the amino acid chain. This is the macrolide, which is in the red, which attaches to the 50s and inhibits this process of elongation and does not allow the transfer RNA to bring along a new amino acid. But what happens that there is resistance to macrolide as well, because since these organisms, they have the capacity to produce such enzymes which inhibit the mechanism of action, or there are in the microorganism there are development of the efflux pumps. As in the penicillin we discussed that the biggest or the commonest cause of the resistance was the presence of beta lactamases, right? So in case of macrolides, what is happening, there is a presence of the ERM gene, which is erythromycin ribosomal gene, which causes the methylation of the 50s ribosomal subunit, which is altered now, right? And you see, instead of purple, this is red shown in the picture, and this is the macrolide, right? So it comes to the 50s to inhibit the protein synthesis, but what is happening, that there is the resistance to the action of macrolides because there is the altered 50s ribosomal subunit because of the gene at the gene level, right? Another reason for the resistance to macrolides is the development of the efflux pump. Its main function is to pump the macrolides out of the cell, making it ineffective. So this is the detail or the zoomed vision of efflux pump, which pumps the macrolides out of the cell, making it dysfunctional to produce its action of protein synthesis inhibitor. So one of the reasons of the resistance to macrolide is the presence of the ERM gene, which I just told you. That is why there is altered 50S ribosomal subunit, making the macrolides ineffective to bind to it and to produce its beneficial effects in the protein synthesis. Now the bacterial antibacterial activity, they are bacteriostatic. As I told you, all protein synthesis inhibitors are bacteriostatic except at high dose. And the concentration and type of bacteria, they can become bactericidal as well. Spectrum of erythromycin, they are, remember one thing, they are mainly effective on gram-positive bacteria. Okay? So the first thing which clicks on your mind whenever any in MCQ you are asked about a gram-positive coverage, the more gram-positive coverage is shown with erythromycin. Okay? And in gram-positive, there are effective against the staph and strep and corynebacterium diphtheria. In gram-negative, it is effective against Treponema, Neisseria, Bordetella pertussis, and their intracellular organisms are Legionella, Mycoplasma, Chlamydia, Trichomonas. So if you can write the spectrum, then of course you can write the uses of that drug as well, because if you know this organism is going to cause skin infection, this is going to cause pneumonia, this is going to cause diphtheria, so that would be much more easier for you to remember the clinical use of these drugs. Indications for erythromycin, which means clinical uses. It is used alternative to penicillin in allergic patients. That, as we discussed, the one of the adverse effects of penicillin is allergic reaction or anaphylaxis, right? So they cannot also tolerate cephalosporins because they have partial allergenicity. So in those patients, you can give erythromycin for those conditions. Then diphtheria and whooping cough, it is the drug of choice. Note down, students, this use of erythromycin, this is asked in MCQ. What is the drug of choice for diphtheria? Okay, whooping cough. And also in Legionnaire's disease, it is also drug of choice. In pneumonia, especially children, in chlamydia trachomatis, this is the clinical uses of erythromycin, which is the older generation. Then we have clarithromycin, which belongs to the newer generation as compared to erythromycin. It has a much more broader spectrum to the older ones. Gram-positive bacteria. It is also covering the gram-negative bacteria, in which you can see that I have made this H. pylori in red because it's very important from MCQ point of view that clarithromycin is considered better than erythromycin in covering gram-negative bacteria. So you can be asked in MCQ which gram-negative bacteria, so it is H. pylori. And that we have already taught you in acid peptic disease. In the eradication of H. pylori induced peptic ulcer quadruple therapy, we can add clarithromycin along with proton pump inhibitors, right? And we can also add metronidazole. And it is also effective against intracellular organisms like pneumonia and pneumophilia. Indications: pharyngitis, tonsillitis, otitis, sinusitis, and it is also used in adjunct to treatment of duodenal ulcer. Okay, so you have to write in its use, or you can be asked in MCQ which of the following macrolides is used for the treatment of H. pylori eradication therapy. तो आप कहेंगे कि H. pylori में तो we are giving drugs which are acting on the GIT, but remember one thing कि 90% of the cases there is H. pylori is the causative organism in APD, right? So we have to, of course, eradicate the microorganism. For that, we use the antibiotics, and some of these are clarithromycin, others are metronidazole. ठीक? So then another latest one is azithromycin. It is effective mainly on the gram-negative bacteria. Unlike the erythromycin or the older generation, they have more coverage against gram-negative. bacteria, and they have more coverage against the intracellular organisms as compared to erythromycin. So it is the difference of azithromycin from erythromycin. Indication again in pharyngitis, tonsillitis, otitis, sinusitis, and uncomplicated genital chlamydial infections. ठीक है? Pharmacokinetics, very important. Erythromycin base, as I already told you, it is destroyed, so there is enteric coated available because it is destroyed in the stomach by the HCl. So enteric coated tablets, this is important from MCQ point of view, right? Note down, students. Enteric coated tablets or esters, they are stearate or ethyl succinate, which are available so that they are not inactivated by gastric HCl. Then food delays the absorption. I already told you, not metabolized and actively secreted in the bile, and only 5% is excreted in active form in the urine. It has a wide distribution except in the brain and CSF. Crosses the placental barrier, but the protein binding is just 70 to 80% and half-life is 1.5 to 5 hours. Clarithromycin, this is the newer macrolides, and students, I just told you that this is a very important question, that what is the advantage of newer macrolides over the older ones. So number one, it's on the basis of their pharmacokinetics. Number two is on the basis of their antimicrobial spectrum. And this is the question for your assignment for today's lecture. Okay, what are the advantages of newer macrolides over the older ones? So it is acid stable. You do not need to form its enteric coated. The food delays absorption but does not alter much of its extent, and it is metabolized in the liver to 14-hydroxyclarithromycin. It is same as that of erythromycin, that it has a wide distribution except in the CNS, and protein binding is 40 to 50, 70%, and half-life is 6 hours, which is much more than the previous generation. So this has many more advantages than the erythromycin. Azithromycin, how does it differ? It is rapidly absorbed from GIT and well tolerated as compared to the erythromycin, which was destroyed by the HCl. It is also widely distributed except in the CNS. Protein binding is 50%, and biliary route is the major route of administration, and half-life is 2 to 4 days, right? So it's a longer half-life, and it does not inactivate cytochrome P450. So students, at this point, remember one thing. Clarithromycin is a cytochrome P450 enzyme inhibitor, right? So azithromycin does not inhibit the P450 system. So there is another difference of clarithromycin from azithromycin. Okay? And erythromycin also inhibits the P450 system. So this is the advantage of azithromycin over the other ones. Note down all the points which I am telling you, because you have to answer the question and you can automatically note down and then submit it. The side effects of macrolides, more effects are on the GIT, like nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Then allergic reactions like urticaria and skin rashes. And note down in your copies, a very important adverse effect, which is cholestatic hepatitis, is seen with erythromycin, right? And Clostridium dpointes, which is the prolongation of QT interval, is seen with azithromycin. So these are the other differences which you have to note down between the three types of erythromycin, azithromycin and clarithromycin. Then they're also more prone to cause hypersensitivity reactions and super infections, right? And these, remember one thing, QT interval prolongation is seen with antiarrhythmics, specifically class 1A, 1C, and class 3. ठीक? So this is also asked in MCQ, which of the following drugs can cause prolongation of QT interval, and you can be asked in the various drugs can be written in combination and you have to answer it. ठीक है? Drug interaction is erythromycin can inhibit cytochrome P450, as I already told you, and azithromycin is free of this effect, that it does not interfere with the cytochrome P450. And remember one thing, students, 90% of the antibiotics are enzyme inhibitors. So it's a rule of thumb. If any MCQ is asked, so majority are cytochrome P450 enzyme inducers. ठीक? Mechanism of resistance, I already told you through diagrammatic presentation, but important one is that it can produce the esterase enzyme, which leads to hydrolysis of macrolides, making them ineffective. And the latest one which I showed was with the gene changes of ERM, and they reduce permeability of the drug, or through active efflux system, which pumps the drug out of the cell and making it ineffective. And there is cross resistance between erythromycin and the other macrolides, right? So if a person is not getting responded to the any of the macrolide, then he has to change the group of the antibiotics. Okay, the mechanism of resistance, students, is very important. Just remember the key points. Do not write in paragraphic form. Like in case of penicillin, you have to write alteration of PBBs, beta lactamases, porin channel. Similarly, in case of macrolides, just remember one thing: esterase, number two efflux, and number three ERM. So you have to answer in such a way, because at the end of the this chemotherapy, you would be having so many antibiotics, and each one of them would be having a different mechanism of resistance. So just the key point is important to memorize. So students, this is your assignment for today's lecture. What are the advantages of the newer macrolides over the older ones? Although I have told you the answer in the lecture, if you have your notebooks along and you have written it along with me, then you can submit it as soon as possible. So this was all with your macrolides, and we'll see you next time with another antibiotic. Most probably, we are done with the 50S ribosomal subunit inhibitors. Then we'll be discussing about the 30S, and on the 30S, which drugs are acting? TAG, TAG, T for tetracycline, AG for aminoglycosides. With that, I end today's lecture. Thank you very much for being with me, and see you inshallah. Allah Hafiz. So at this point, at the end, I would like you to remember one thing, student, that against COVID-19, the whole world, the most famous or the popular drug which is being effective in the treatment of COVID-19 and for the prophylaxis is none other than this Azomax 500 milligram twice a day. And this is not mentioned in your textbook, since it is recently added through the research. It has proven, still the clinical trials are going on. So this can be asked in your exam, because it's a newer clinical use of azithromycin against the virus.